Has Mojtaba cracked the secret to taking down Trump's invisible assassin in the skies over Iran? Is the world's most expensive fighter jet suddenly vulnerable to simple heat detection methods? Did physics always wins prove true when Iran tracked an F-35 using its unavoidable heat signature? Stealth superiority now questioned after shocking battlefield claims from Iranian forces. Has an Iranian breakthrough exposed the limits of US air superiority through advanced stealth tech? In the silent sky, how did deadly Iranian eyes find and target what was meant to be completely hidden? On March 19th, reports surfaced that Iran potentially compelled a US F-35 stealth fighter to execute an emergency landing. Emerging claims suggest Iran may have successfully detected and engaged the US F-35 through heat-based sensing technologies, circumventing conventional radar-dependent tracking systems. Should these accounts hold, they cast scrutiny on the established perception of stealth aircraft maintaining near invisibility against contemporary integrated air defense networks. The F-35 incorporates specialized radar-absorbent coatings engineered to deflect or absorb electromagnetic waves, substantially minimizing radar cross-section signatures. However, technical specialists clarify that stealth configurations do not confer invisibility across the infrared spectrum, where thermal emissions persist as detectable signatures. The F-35 relies on a singular high-performance engine that generates considerable heat signatures throughout various flight regimes and operational phases. To infrared thermal imaging systems, this elevated heat profile renders the aircraft conspicuous against the backdrop of cooler ambient sky temperatures. Infrared search and track systems like IRST prioritize thermal scanning across airspace volumes, operating independently from radar emissions for threat acquisition. IRST platforms transmit no detectable signals themselves, evading straightforward identification by the tracked aircraft's defensive warning receivers. Under such parameters, a stealth-configured jet might sustain observation without activating integrated onboard alerting mechanisms or countermeasures protocols. Fundamentally, while radar detectability can be mitigated through design, thermodynamic principles governing engine exhaust and airframe heating remain immutable constraints. At operational altitudes amid frigid atmospheric conditions, the pronounced thermal plume from jet propulsion becomes particularly salient to infrared sensor arrays. Iran has reportedly fired 2 ballistic missiles toward the Diego Garcia military base in its latest long-range attack, according to the Wall Street Journal and is cited by multiple outlets. Diego Garcia is a joint US-UK military base in the Indian Ocean and has been operated as a major Anglo-American military facility since the 1970s. With this attempted strike, Iran appears to have signaled a widening of the conflict well beyond the core Middle East battlefield and into the wider Indian Ocean strategic space. Iran has long maintained that it does not possess missile capabilities beyond roughly 2,000 kilometers, a limit reiterated publicly by senior Iranian officials and reflected in many defense assessments. However, Diego Garcia lies about 4,000 kilometers from Iran, meaning the attempted strike has raised fresh questions about whether Tehran now possesses or is testing missiles with far longer reach than previously acknowledged. Publicly available assessments say Iran possesses the largest ballistic missile stockpile in the Middle East, with a wide range of systems forming the backbone of its regional deterrence posture. Most openly discussed Iranian ballistic missile ranges generally fall in the 1,300 to 2,000 kilometer band, depending on the system and payload profile. The commonly cited ranges are Sijil at 2,000 kilometers, Ahmad at 1,700 kilometers, Gadr at 2,000 kilometers, Shahab-3 at 1,300 kilometers, and Karamshar at 2,000 kilometers. While these are the publicly acknowledged missile ranges, some open-source reports and analyst assessments hint that Iran may be pursuing or testing more advanced systems. Some reports also point to more ambitious or less clearly verified programs, including SOMAR at a presumed 2,000 to 3,000 kilometers, Sijil variants potentially reaching 2,500 kilometers, and newer Sejil or Karamshar upgrades that some reports speculate could extend toward 4,000 kilometers. Additional claims in open-source reporting have even referred to Shahab-5 as possibly exceeding 5,000 kilometers and Shahab-6 as a system under testing with intercontinental reach of 10,000 kilometers. Iran launched 2 ballistic missiles toward the joint US-UK military base on Diego Garcia on March 20th, the Wall Street Journal reported, citing US officials. However, the Iranian missiles did not hit the base, with officials saying neither of the projectiles reached its intended target. One missile failed during flight, while a U.S. warship reportedly fired an SM-3 interceptor at the second incoming missile. However, it remains unclear whether that SM-3 interceptor was actually responsible for the failure of the second missile. With this latest attack, Iran appears to be demonstrating a potential ability to strike targets far beyond its previously acknowledged missile envelope, placing almost the whole of Europe within theoretical reach. At the same time, several of America's European allies have kept their distance from direct participation in the war, despite pressure from President Donald Trump for greater support. Earlier, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer reiterated that Britain would not be drawn into Donald Trump's wider war against Iran, even while working with partners on maritime security concerns.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.